Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Inside Fnatic's Brush. Today we're only reviewing one series, the one against BDS, so let's jump right into it. Now Fnatic has started the summer season pretty well with a game against SK and Team Heretics. Both won. The one against Team Heretics got a bit more complicated, but Fnatic showed a much cleaner face against SK. Now it was time to see if this would carry on against BDS, who also had a bit of struggling moments in their first weeks into the summer split. And going into the first game, Fnatic shows their intentions clearly as they draft in all-in composition to jump onto the Aphelios, who surprisingly doesn't have a Thresh to help him out in case he gets jumped on. And as we've seen in the recent games, it's again Razork applying the tempo very quickly in the bot lane with a dive just after he's cleared his jungle, giving already a kill to the bot lane and doing it again on the top side, this time feeding both Upset and Poby, who takes the TP and gets himself a kill in the same time. While Razork is dictating the tempo, Oscar is still struggling on the weak side role. Getting caught here now, while he gets camped, he's still giving away deaths that really shouldn't be happening. Thankfully, this doesn't mean too much for the side of Fnatic as they're still getting turrets and advantages on the other side of the map, and also BDS keeps getting caught as they don't know how to rotate through the pressure points that Fnatic has set up. At 3 turrets to none, Fnatic now has full pressure on the map, and Razork smartly uses the Fog of War to his advantage to snap into the backline of BDS. Poby teleports to join in on the fun, Fnatic gets 3 kills, and this pretty much closes the game for BDS as they are too far behind against a scaling Rise who's already put a lot of difference in the CS side and now is also getting fed. Another big team fight around the Baron will actually seal the deal for the game as Fnatic will use the Baron power up to push in and close the first game 1-0. After a great game for the whole team, even for Oscar who actually brought it back, especially during the team fights, it was time to see how BDS would answer in the second game. And this time we finally get to see Poby's Azir, as well as Razork bringing out his patented Poppy, which combines really well into the shuffle. And this game is pretty much copy-paste of the previous one, with the first gank going into the bot lane, Oscar getting the kill camped out of him, and just Fnatic gaining slow advantages through CS difference, notably Poby and Razork, and just crunching down objectives with turrets and Drakes getting taken out in the early game. BDS try to apply too much pressure onto Oscar as Fnatic get the rest of the map taken down. Upset is much more ahead against Ice, who really cannot face him anymore, and already in the early game, BDS is struggling. All the neutral objectives are already within Fnatic's hands, except maybe for the Voids, as Razork manages to tempo his advantages both top and bot side. And even after a very messy Atakan where Razork tries as much as possible to keep Bukada away from the objective, Fnatic is still ahead, secures the Atakan and push their advantage further onto the map. On top of that, Fnatic is showing incredible levels of discipline, notably after the 4th Drake and also during the Baron, where they don't take unnecessary team fights where the previous Fnatic would have taken the objectives and tried to force a team fight that probably wouldn't have resulted in anything positive. Fnatic will grab 2 inhibs, then divert their attention onto the Elder Drake, which they will secure, and that will also enable them to end the game in a very comfortable position. A 2-0, very clean from Fnatic, and quite incredible, showing again the level of discipline in both games. Unfortunately, BDS played way too scared against Fnatic, had a very dominant early game, which helped them control the mid to late game and just gather objectives and space onto the map and slowly choke their opponent. With this new playstyle, Oscar is forced more and more into playing the weak side, which he still struggles with, unfortunately, dying here and there. Even while getting camped, there are some deaths that are clearly unnecessary at this stage. Something that was very interesting, however, was Razork's interview, where he explained the difference between Poby and Humanoid, especially when it came down to communication, and he explained that with Poby, it's much more easier to set up plays, he's much more adaptable, while with Humanoid there was much more of a conversation, and in the end, nothing really was happening. So it's nice to see that Poby is fitting better and better into Fnatic's composition and is showing incredible levels of laning, which translate well into the mid to late game. The last game of the regular split will face obviously the eternal rivals G2, and this will be the big test for Poby and the rest of the team. Now the real question here is what happens if the bot focus doesn't work anymore, if Oscar gets abused and Broken Blade gets given a massive advantage that we'll know to use much better than other top laners that have been faced so far, and also will there be more focus onto the mid lane, specifically Poby, who they will try to punish to avoid him getting as much CS lead as possible and gaining natural gold advantages against caps. The biggest challenge is ahead, and it will mark the state and the level of the team as they are currently. If they manage to beat G2, we're definitely looking at a new style of Fnatic, a more LCK style who play slowly, controlled, focusing on objectives and gold advantages, and who are not skill checking their opponent every second of the game. I'm very excited to see Fnatic facing G2, so let me know what's your biggest expectations against G2, what you would like to see Poby play, and what were your opinions on Fnatic versus BDS. Do you think BDS played very poorly, or was it just a masterclass from Fnatic? I'll see you next time for the G2 review, if I get a chance to get my hands on a computer, as I'll be away on holiday for the next 2 weeks. So if I don't see you there, I'll see you at the beginning of September. If you're already on holiday, enjoy your time off. Until then, always Fnatic. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.